Hi, my name is Gibson, and I'm the co-owner and creator of the Personal Development School. This is your daily breakthrough video, and in this video, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some key signs that an anxious, preoccupied attachment style individual misses you post-breakup. So before I dive into all of this, we are still doing our sale to support our community. 25% off membership bundles, 3, 6, and 12 months. The coupon code is with you, all one word, and there's a link in the description box below, and that gives you access to all of our social events. That gives you access to our guided morning and evening routines with all of our members, the live webinars that we do for every single week, as well as all of the previous recorded courses. So let's talk about this topic here. So first and foremost, a big sign that an anxious, preoccupied attachment style individual misses you, they're pretty clear when it comes to this. They'll be very direct and keep trying to find ways to create more closeness. Where we have the dismissive avoidant who can be quite indirect through things like reaching out through social media, liking your photos, making things kind of like muddy and confusing at times. Anxious, preoccupied, yes, can be doing that, but they have a tendency to be much more approach-oriented and direct because they're less afraid of vulnerability than the avoidant attachment styles. So they can be even overtly direct, like a little too direct at times. Sometimes they can talk to your friends, family. They're always trying to sort of create these ways of maintaining closeness. Ask about you to your family, to your mutual friends, things like this. And you'll see a lot of that. They might be reaching out, calling, texting, things like this that are quite obvious. But then we'll see some other dynamics that can be sort of like almost the protest behavior side of the anxious preoccupied. And this can be things like lots of posting on social media to try to elicit a response, to make you feel jealous or like you miss the person. And of course, it's absolutely possible that they're actually moved on and just in a different place and they're just having a good time, or and they're posting on social media because they're out doing things. But it can also be a form of trying to distract themselves, or sometimes in certain cases a form of trying to elicit some kind of response. You can also get things like commentary on your photos, things that are like very direct is the major theme. And again, it's because if an anxious, preoccupied individual has all these feelings, and if we have this equation that's your feelings minus your fears, but then they don't really have a lot of fears of vulnerability, and if a lot of their previously programmed associations for getting connection are very approach oriented, like go towards, whereas we'll see a lot of avoidance strategies for people who have an avoidant attachment side, like stay away from, retract, hide, shy away. Well, if we don't have a lot of those things popping up for the anxious preoccupied, then you're just going to see a lot of their feelings, right? Now, something that is important to notice is that when the anxious preoccupied individual does move on, so when they get into a new relationship, this is often where you'll see some of these behaviors diminish, because a big piece of the anxious preoccupied's healing is we have to imagine that the anxious preoccupied individual is out of relationship to themselves. They've been conditioned by their experiences to basically be out of the relationship to themselves, to sort of be so focused on their external world that there isn't this ongoing checking in with their own feelings and needs, setting boundaries around things, knowing what they want, knowing how to meet their own needs. A lot of this is just they become hyper-focused on their relationships and that focal point of their life, and sometimes they're out of balance in the other 6 of the 7 areas of life as well. And so if somebody doesn't know how to meet their own needs, that's part of why it hurts so much when there's a breakup, because now it feels like, whoa, I'm like naked and alone out in the world, right? Because that vulnerability of not knowing how to fill up one's own cup can feel really scary to somebody who's been conditioned away from that. But if we look, what can often happen is the anxious preoccupied, when they meet someone new, it creates that buffer. It's like, oh, okay, now my cup can be filled again by somebody new. And this is like, again, often what we'll see for anxious preoccupied after a breakup. That's something that becomes a turning point. But if that someone new is in the anxious preoccupied person's life, but they're still missing you, then you will still see some more indirect behavior specifically in that context. So still liking your posts on social media, things that would almost fall under the category of how a dismissive avoidant reaches out, but you'll usually only really see that if they're in the relationship with a new person, or there's somebody who's very present in their life. And again, that becomes sort of like the feelings minus the barriers to connection. And so you'll see some of that indirectness kind of skirt out in the gap between, like, let's say the feelings are still an 8 out of 10, but the barriers are that they're trying to focus on a new relationship, they're trying to move on, and that becomes a 6. You might see a net positive 2 of reaching out, if that makes sense. And I want to be really clear to say this is unless, of course, the anxious, preoccupied individual is doing the work to become secure within themselves, which we can all do at any point in time. And if that's the case, then you might see them not reach out as much because they're moving towards becoming securely attached. They're able to self-soothe, able to regulate, fill their own cup, meet their own needs. And that feeling of neediness and anxiety can start to diminish. And in that case, if you know something like that is happening, then you might not see them reach out as much. So I hope this all makes perfect sense. Thank you so much for watching and for being here. Please like, share, and subscribe if you're getting a lot of value out of this channel. And I will see you in the next video.